Dad, you can't keep living like this. You need someone. My son David said that to me 8 months after I lost Patricia. He was worried. I was lonely. So at 68 years old, I did what seemed logical. I remarried within a year. Biggest mistake of my life. Cost me $47,000 and nearly destroyed my relationship with both my kids. But here's what I learned about remarriage after 60 that every man my age needs to hear before it's too late. 8 months after Patricia died, I was still wearing my wedding ring. Still setting 2 coffee cups on the counter every morning before remembering. Still reaching for her side of the bed at night. I wasn't ready to move on. But everyone around me thought I should. Before we go any further, please hit that like button and subscribe. This channel shares stories that might save you from mistakes that cost me nearly everything. Let me tell you what loneliness actually feels like at my age. I'd wake up at 6:30 every morning. The bed next to me was empty. I'd make coffee for one, toast for one. I'd sit at the kitchen table and eat in complete silence. No one to ask about my day. No one to share the morning paper with. The weekends were worse. Saturday mornings, Patricia and I used to walk to the farmer's market. Now I'd drive there alone, buy vegetables I didn't need, come home to an empty house. I thought I was managing. My daughter Michelle didn't agree. She'd call 3 times a week. Dad, you can't just sit there alone. It's not healthy. I'm fine, sweetheart. You're not fine. You need to get out. Meet people. She meant well. I know that now. But her concern felt like pressure. Like I was failing at something. One Tuesday, Michelle showed up at my house with her laptop. Dad, I signed you up for a church singles group. And look, there's this app for seniors. I stared at the screen. Photos of women my age, smiling, looking for companionship. Michelle, I don't think I'm ready for this. Dad, it's been 8 months. Mom wouldn't want you alone like this. That got me. She was right. Patricia wouldn't want this. So I went to the church singles group. Coffee and awkward conversations in the community center basement. That's where I met Linda. 64, pleasant smile, retired teacher. We talked about books, gardening, our kids. It felt normal, easy. We met for coffee the next week, then again 3 days later. After our 3rd date, Michelle called. Dad, she seems perfect. You sound happy. I wasn't sure I was happy, but I wasn't alone. At that moment, that felt like enough. 3 months in, Linda and I were having dinner at her downtown condo when she said, "Why are we waiting? We're not 20. We know what we want." I set down my fork. What do you mean? Marriage, Robert. Why wait at our age? We're both alone. We both have our finances in order. It makes sense. It did make sense. At least, that's what I told myself. We got engaged a month later. Michelle was thrilled. She hugged me at her house, tears in her eyes. Dad, I'm so happy for you. Mom would want this. My son David was quieter. After dinner, he pulled me into the hallway. Dad, have you two talked about finances? We're both comfortable, David. We'll be fine. That's not what I mean. What happens to your assets? Her assets? You need to protect yourself. I felt defensive. Your sister thinks this is wonderful. Michelle's romantic. I'm an accountant. He looked at me carefully. Just be smart about this, okay? I should have listened. Wedding planning started immediately. Linda had ideas. Lots of them. One afternoon at her condo, she spread papers across the kitchen table. I think you should sell your house, she said casually. Sell my house? Robert, we can't maintain 2 properties. My condo is downtown, closer to everything. It makes sense for you to move here. Patricia and I bought that house 35 years ago. Our kids grew up there. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Her expression tightened. We're getting married. We need to think practically. Then came the bank accounts. Linda suggested we combine everything, share expenses, simplify our finances. That's when her daughter Karen got involved. 35, attorney, sharp as a knife. She showed up at the condo with documents. Dad asked me to draft a prenup, she said. Not warmly, I read through it. The language was dense, legal. Essentially, Linda's assets stayed Linda's assets. $340,000 in savings and investments, protected. What about my assets? I asked. Karen looked at me. That's between you and your attorney. I didn't have an attorney. I signed it 2 days later at the courthouse. Linda squeezed my hand. This is just a formality. It protects both of us. But it didn't feel like protection. It felt like I was the only one who needed protecting from. We got married 4 months after that first coffee date. Simple ceremony, $1,200, immediate family only. Michelle cried happy tears. David shook my hand. His smile didn't reach his eyes. That night, lying next to Linda in her condo, I thought, this is modern marriage. This is what people our age do. Stop overthinking it. I wish I'd listened to that doubt. 2 months after the wedding, Karen called. She didn't ask how we were. She got straight to business. Robert, we need to discuss your will. I was sitting in my home office, bills spread across the desk. My will. If something happens to you, your assets go to Linda. That's fine. But if something happens to Linda after that, we need to make sure her inheritance stays on our side of the family. Our side, not the family. Our side versus his side. Karen, I haven't even thought about. You need to. I'm sending you the name of an estate attorney. This protects everyone. She hung up before I could respond. That same week, Linda came to me with a stack of envelopes. Credit card statements. Her face was tight. I need to talk to you about something. She spread the bills on the table. $8,000 in debt. Cards I'd never seen before. This is from before we got married, she said quickly. I thought I could handle it, but the interest is killing me. $8,000? Robert, we're married now. What's mine is yours, right? I need you to help me pay this off. I stared at those numbers. $8,000 of debt I knew nothing about. Linda, you never mentioned this. I didn't want you to think I was after your money. She touched my hand. But you're my husband. Husbands help their wives. I paid it off. Wrote the check that same day. What else was I supposed to do? Then came tax season. My advisor, Tom, a guy in his 50s I'd worked with for years, called me into his office. Robert, sit down. We need to talk about your Social Security. He showed me the numbers. Getting married changed everything. My benefits dropped by $340 a month. Combined income pushed us into a 15% higher tax bracket. You're losing money by being married, Tom said flatly. About $6,000 annually. $6,000 every year for the rest of my life. Nobody told me this. Most people don't realize until it's too late. I was still processing that when the hospital bill arrived. $12,000. Linda's knee procedure from last month. I called the billing department. A woman with a tired voice answered. I didn't authorize this procedure. I wasn't even there. Sir, you're listed as spouse. You're financially responsible. We have a prenup. Her medical expenses are separate. That's between you and your wife, sir. Legally, as her spouse, you're liable for medical debt incurred during marriage. $12,000. Just like that. I sat in my home office that night, calculator in hand. $8,000 in credit card debt, $12,000 in medical bills, $340 less per month in Social Security, higher taxes, $23,000 gone in 6 months. The prenup protected her money. Nobody protected mine. I used to do woodworking. Had a workshop in my garage for 30 years. Built furniture, small projects, things for the grandkids. When I moved into Linda's condo, most of my tools went into storage. I kept telling myself I'd set up a small space somewhere. One Saturday, I drove to the hardware store, bought $200 worth of hand tools, nothing major, just enough to start building again. Linda saw the receipt on the counter. "What's this?" "Tools. I thought I'd start doing some small projects." Her face changed. "You spent $200 without discussing it with me?" "It's my retirement money, Linda." "We're married, Robert. We discuss purchases like this." I'd been making my own decisions with my own money for 68 years. Now I needed permission? Thanksgiving came. Linda informed me we'd have dinner at her sister Janet's house. "What about my kids?" I asked. "We'll see them Friday." "Linda, I've had Thanksgiving with David and Michelle their entire lives." "Well, you're part of my family now. We need to split time fairly." Fairly meant her family got Thanksgiving. Mine got leftovers the next day. I sat at Janet's table, listening to conversations I wasn't part of, eating turkey that tasted like cardboard. I called Michelle that night. "Dad, it's okay," she said. But I could hear the hurt in her voice. Then Linda started in on my Thursday poker nights. I'd played poker with the same 3 guys for 40 years. Every Thursday, 7 o'clock. We'd been through divorces, deaths, retirements together. "You're going again?" Linda asked one Thursday evening. "It's poker night." "Every week, Robert? Don't you think that's a bit much at your age?" "At my age? It's immature. You're 70 years old, playing cards with your buddies like you're in college." I stood there, keys in hand. "I've been doing this for 40 years. "Well, you're married now. Things change." I went anyway. But the whole night I felt guilty, like I was doing something wrong. My friend George noticed. "You okay, Rob?" "Linda thinks poker night is immature." George, 67, divorced twice, looked at me. "Brother, you're asking permission to see your friends?" That hit me. I thought about Patricia. 42 years of marriage. She never questioned my poker nights, never made me feel guilty about my hobbies, never monitored my spending or made me choose between her family and mine. I drove home that night and realized something terrible. I'd spent 18 months asking permission for things I used to decide on my own. I'd given up my workshop, my traditions, my independence. 22 months into our marriage, Linda's arthritis got worse. Much worse. She'd had it before we married. She mentioned it once or twice, but I didn't understand what chronic condition actually meant. Within 3 weeks, she needed help getting dressed, help getting in and out of the shower, help cooking, cleaning, walking to the car. I became a caregiver. Not a husband, a caregiver. 4 to 6 hours a day, I was helping Linda do basic things. At 70 years old, my back aching, my own hands not as steady as they used to be, I was lifting her, supporting her, managing her medications. This wasn't companionship. This was a second job I didn't apply for. I called a family law attorney. Sandra Levitt, early 60s, 30 years of experience. She didn't sugarcoat anything. Divorce will cost you between $15,000 and $25,000 in legal fees alone, she said. Then there's the settlement. We have a prenup. Prenups can be challenged, especially if she claims you didn't disclose assets or she signed under duress. And given her health condition, a judge might award spousal support. How much? Hard to say. Could be a few hundred a month. Could be more. Depends on the judge. I sat in her office, doing the math. Even the low estimate would cost me $40,000. Maybe more. I'm trapped, I said. Sandra looked at me with something like sympathy. Most people in your situation feel that way. The worst nights were the 2 a.m. bathroom trips. Linda would wake me. Robert, I need help. I'd swing my legs out of bed, my knees protesting, help her stand, walk her to the bathroom, wait outside, walk her back. One night, standing in the dark hallway at 2 a.m, I thought, I'm 70 years old, and I'm more alone than when I was single. At least when I was single, I was lonely in my own house, with my own choices, with my own money. Now I was lonely in someone else's condo, taking care of someone who felt more like a stranger every day. David came by one Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen, exhausted. Linda was asleep. Dad, you look terrible. I'm fine. You're not fine. He sat down across from me. When's the last time you did something for yourself? I couldn't remember. David was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Dad, you married a stranger to avoid being alone. Now you're alone. Anyway. Except now you're also trapped. Those words landed like a punch. He was right. I barely knew Linda when I married her. 4 months of coffee dates, and I thought I knew enough. I thought companionship was the answer. But I'd traded loneliness for obligation, freedom for financial entanglement, independence for someone else's expectations. I'd been so afraid of being alone that I'd made myself more alone than ever. I made a mistake, I said quietly. David reached across the table and squeezed my shoulder. So fix it. The divorce cost me $22,000 in legal fees and $15,000 in settlement. $37,000 total. Add that to the $23,000 I'd already lost, and remarriage cost me $60,000 in 2 years. But I'd do it again, because it got me out. I'm 71 now. I live in a smaller apartment in Portland. 1 bedroom, manageable rent, close to my kids. I've been divorced for 14 months. Here's what I learned. 7 facts every man over 60 needs to hear before he even thinks about remarriage. First, loneliness is temporary. Divorce is expensive and permanent. I was lonely for 8 months after Patricia died. That loneliness felt unbearable. But I rushed into marriage to escape a feeling that would have passed on its own. I traded temporary discomfort for years of regret and tens of thousands of dollars in costs. Second, combining finances after 60 is financial suicide. I thought sharing expenses made sense. It doesn't. At our age, we have established assets, different spending habits, and adult children with their own agendas. Keep your money separate. Always. If someone pressures you to combine accounts, that's a red flag the size of Texas. Third, prenups don't protect you as much as you think. I signed one. Still got hit with medical bills, still paid for her debts, still faced spousal support possibilities in divorce. A prenup is a piece of paper. A judge can throw it out. Don't marry someone assuming a prenup makes you safe. Fourth, You're not just marrying her. You're marrying her adult children, her financial problems, her health issues, and her expectations. Karen wasn't my daughter, but she controlled major decisions in my marriage. Linda's debt became my debt. Her health became my responsibility. When you marry at our age, you marry everything that comes with that person. Fifth, companionship doesn't require a legal contract. I go to a support group at the community center. Met 3 other men there, 66, 69, and 73. All remarried after losing their wives, all divorced within 3 years, all lost money and peace of mind. One guy said something that stuck with me. I could have just dated her. Could have had dinner twice a week, kept my own place, kept my freedom. Didn't need to sign papers to not be lonely. He was right. Sixth, if she's rushing you, stop. Linda suggested marriage 3 months in. We were engaged at 4 months, married at 4.5. Looking back, that speed was a warning sign I ignored. At 60 plus, if someone can't wait a year or 2, ask yourself why. What's the rush? If it's real, it'll still be real in 18 months. Seventh, your independence is worth more than companionship. I gave up my workshop, my poker nights, my traditions, my financial autonomy. I asked permission for things I decided on my own for 70 years. That loss of self was worse than being alone ever was. I see my friend George twice a week for coffee. 72, widower, never remarried. He dates occasionally, has female friends, lives alone in a small house. He's happy. Last month he told me, I get lonely sometimes, but I'd rather be lonely on my terms than trapped in someone else's life. I'm building something different now. Weekly lunches with my poker group, volunteer work at the library, dinners with David and Michelle, separately, without guilt or scheduling conflicts. I even date sometimes. Coffee, conversation, no pressure. A year after my divorce, I realized something. I'm happier now than I was remarried. Because being alone isn't the same as being lonely. And companionship doesn't require a marriage license. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying everyone should avoid remarriage. Some people make it work. But if you're over 60, widowed or divorced, feeling that pressure to not be alone, slow down. Way down. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe, and share it. What's your experience with late life relationships? Leave a comment below. You don't need to sign away your independence to not be lonely.